Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to talk to you more about interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Before we get started, take a look at this. Okay guys, we have another really good cause offering a sweepstakes for a 2024 Corvette Z06 plus $20,000 cash to cover your taxes. This is really a beautiful car. Obviously, we all want a Z06, and it's a chance to get a reasonable shot at winning one without having to lay out a lot of money. Now, the key here, and we always focus on this, is being put up by MS Solutions, which is a charity that assists people with multiple sclerosis and helps them not only financially, but also helps raise public awareness so that more and more people maybe are helping to push for new solutions or further research. They've been around a long time. Obviously, they're based here in the United States. It's a worthy cause. And the cool part is, because we're partnering with them, if you go in and say, I'll give $100 to the charity, you're actually going to get an additional 25% more entries. So for $100, you get 90 entries plus an additional 23 because we're helping them out. So you'll see our promo code C&S here. You can do whichever amount you feel comfortable with. Enter your name, information, all that, and on the next page, your credit card information. And then the drawing for this card is on August 31st, 2024. So if you are seeing this video after that date, then check on one of my more recent videos, and we will probably have another charitable sweepstakes happening at that time that will still be ongoing. Otherwise, guys, I wish you the best of luck, and if I hear about you winning this car, I'd be really, really thrilled. So let me know. Thanks. Okay, today's topic is going to be, is an older Corvette, or really any older car, for you? Before we do that, I'm going to ask you this week's trivia question. So, here it is. It's a two-parter. What year was the B2K option offered first? What was it? And for a bonus point, if you can do it without looking it up, what did that option cost? The answer will be at the end of the video. But in the meantime, put them in the comments below. All right. Is an older Corvette for you? I have a lot of people who email me, call me, bring their cars in here, send me pictures of cars they're thinking about buying. And while, especially when it's a car that is like early 90s or older, it's just as much about the person buying the car as it is the current condition and quality of the car they're looking at buying that I try to weigh. So I'm going to kind of go today through it with you like you were looking at buying a early 90s or 70s or 60s even car, and the things that you as the potential buyer need to understand from my perspective of someone who is a professional in the business, does this every day, and is trying to help you make the best decision. First and foremost, if you're going to buy a car of that vintage, do not make it your only car. Don't make it your daily. Don't make it the vehicle you rely on to get to and from work, to and from the hospital, wherever, because there are going to be days that for whatever reason, yesterday the car was fine, but today you go out, you go to start it, and there are 3 things wrong with the car. The car did not move between yesterday and today, but now 3 things have broken. It's going to happen. So you need to have at least one reliable car in your stable. If you need to be places, don't count on an old car every day. Secondly, we need to talk about being realistic about your ability to maintain and repair said vehicle. Now that has 2 points to it. First of all, you need to be really honest with yourself about what your own mechanical limitations are, okay? If you changed the oil once with your dad when you were 12, probably not going to have the correct amount of skill to maintain that vehicle yourself, or even to recognize problems or major components when they come up. You also need to be very, very honest with yourself about the financial realities that you're going to be dealing with. Not only in the cost of purchasing the car, but if you don't have the mechanical skill to maintain it yourself, you're going to be paying a shop like ours to fix and maintain that vehicle. And believe me when I tell you, if you do not have any ability whatsoever to fix that car on your own, and you are not in a position to have funds that you don't need, that you're just happy to throw at the car to keep it happy and healthy, I promise you're not going to enjoy the ownership experience. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to have a good time. You need to accept that the creature comforts in cars of that vintage either don't exist, or if they do, they tend to work quite poorly when compared to modern vehicles. A good example, C3 Corvette air conditioning. When it is working at its optimum capacity and everything is perfect and fresh, it will blow less hot air at your face. And it will blow it like a yawn. It was just never a very great system. It was fine for the time, but compared to what we are all used to today, it is anemic at best, which is why a lot of people upgrade to aftermarket AC systems on Corvettes, but that's a whole nother video. But get used to the fact and be okay with the fact that a lot of the things that we just accept as perfectly normal on even run-of-the-mill cars over the last 15, 20 years were not necessarily so at that time. Do you enjoy working on your car? Now, not only do you have the skill, we already covered that. Do you enjoy it? Is it something that you look forward to doing? If so, great. You will enjoy owning an older car like this because it is going to be something that keeps you occupied, challenge you mentally and physically, and you will hopefully, when you're done, have a finished product that you can go, look at what I have wrought, and everybody's happy. If it's going to be just another chore on your to-do list, even if you have the skill, but you're busy with the rest of your life and your family and your grandkids or whatever, if it's something that's going to be a pain in the butt for you to get to, then you're going to have the money put aside or available to pay somebody else to do it, which again, neither of those is going to be particularly enjoyable. All right. This comes in 3 times for 3 different ways, and that magical phrase is be patient. First of all, when you go looking for your older car, whatever it is, don't buy the first one you see. Educate yourself. Do research. Spend some time with people who own those cars or are very familiar with those cars. Watch YouTube videos. Educate yourself. And find the nicest, best kept car you can get your hands on. Even if you pay too much for it, it's going to be far better than rushing out and buying something just to satisfy that itch, and then you end up in one of the situations that I've delineated above where it is no fun. Second, be patient. Parts for 30-plus-year-old cars will rarely be available locally unless it's like a screw, a grommet, a light bulb, a fuse, things you can get at O'Reilly's or Napa. But if it's something specific to that car, you're going to have to count on the fact that once you figure out what's wrong today, you're going to say, okay, I need a Canuter valve. And you then go on the internet and try to find a Canuter valve for that car. And odds are it's going to take several days to get shipped to you, assuming you can find one at all. So be patient. Understand that that's part of the process. It is simply going to be a reality for you. And third, that's right, you guessed it, be patient. Shops, if you're having a shop do your work because you've decided, hey, that's not for me, I don't have time, I'm not qualified, and I have the money for the shop to do it without breaking me financially, shops working on these old cars have to deal with all the same challenges in locating, shipping, and fitting these hard-to-find parts as you would as a private individual. Plus, they have to deal with a wide spectrum of quality from the aftermarket. We have a running joke here at the shop for certain parts. When we call the supplier, say, you know what, I need a Canuter valve, go ahead, reach back and grab the 3rd one on the shelf because that's the one we'll get to that finally works. So it's well known, but understand that As frustrating as it would be for you to deal with, you have to understand that the shops, no matter how good they are or we're getting in their parts, they're going to be dealing with some of that too, so be patient with them. On that note, calling a shop every day, is my car done yet? Is my car done yet? Is my car done yet? That is not going to get your car done faster. I promise you from the bottom of my heart. What it does is it takes time away from a very busy shop from doing their other business, answering other phone calls, and being able to move forward with their day. And while it will not get your car fixed any faster by calling, especially when you know this is like a 3-week job, and you've brought your car in on Monday and Tuesday at 9 a.m., you're like, can I get an update? Please don't. Be patient. We'll get to it. They'll get to it. And they will communicate with you if they're a good shop. And you should establish that when you bring your car in and talk to the shop manager, the service manager, whoever. Say, listen, I'm going to be a cool customer. I'm not going to bother you. But I do expect regular updates. They don't have to be every day, but please, every couple of days, every 3 days, or when something comes up that you were unaware of that you need to talk to me about, call me. Please, I'll be fine. I will also promise you that if you are the person who still, after all that, calls once, twice, 3, 4 times a day until they get somebody that tells them what they want to hear, you're not going to get your car fixed. You're probably going to get your car back unfixed and not be welcome back in that shop. Now, it's a rare occasion when that happens, but even us nice Corvette C&S guys, there are people we've had to excuse from our shop just because you couldn't work with them. So don't be that guy. If your mechanic tells you the car is too old or not his specialty and he really doesn't want to work on it, believe him the first time he tells you, because that's how he makes his living, okay? He wants the work. He wants as much work as he can get because that's how he feeds his family, pays his bills, expands his business, whatever. If he's telling you, now this really isn't what I do, he's trying to save himself and you stress, heartache, and upset. So don't get upset with him and don't force him to do the job. Find someone who you call and you talk to and they're like, yep, nope, we're familiar with that. Yeah, bring it in, we'll take a look. That's the way to go, because if you try to force him to do a job he's uncomfortable with, it's going to end up being unfair to both of you. Remember, most of these mechanics that you're going to deal with today weren't even born when carburetors became obsolete. I mean, these people are like, what's this? I mean, you got to be really careful to manage your expectations on something that they're not working on every single day. And be ready for extreme service charges from a mechanic. Now, if you're working on this car yourself, it's just going to be extra elbow grease, frustration, and a bunch of busted knuckles that it's going to cost you. If your mechanic's doing all that stuff, you're going to get charged for additional or extreme service. Let me explain what that means. All shops operate off of standardized labor guides for any particular job that are put out by Mitchell or Identifix or on any of these places that are the professional kind of keepers of the keys as to what a job should pay. But remember, when they do those estimates, they are doing those estimates on a brand new car at that time. So if it's saying that changing the power steering pump on your 1974 Corvette should take 1 hour, that is meaning that there is no rust, that all the correct fasteners are there, that the car hasn't had a tractor motor put in it, that whatever, it was a brand new 1974 Corvette when they made that estimate. So oftentimes we get these cars in that are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and we put it up in the air to do what should be a simple 2-hour job, and it can turn into a 3-day job. One wrong bolt, one broken bolt, one rusty nut that won't come off, whatever it is. Be prepared, whether you're doing it yourself or the shop is, that there's going to be complications on a car that has been regularly driven and used over a period of decades. It's not going to be as straightforward as the guide would make it seem. So, after having gone through all this criteria, if you have listened to all this and said, you know what, Lyle? No, I'm good with all that. Then go find yourself the nicest car, vintage car that you can find that makes you happy, and I hope you drive the wheels off it and you enjoy the heck out of it. If you can't work on the car but you have the financial ability to support it, I hope you find a great shop that gives you excellent feedback, excellent service, and is somewhere you look forward to going because you know you're going to be taken care of. I almost forgot the answer to today's trivia question. What was the B2K option? What year was it introduced? And your bonus point was, what did that option cost? Well, the B2K option was first offered in 1987, and it was the Callaway twin turbo conversion, I suppose you could say. And the way that worked was that GM, you buy your Corvette from GM, and they would then ship it to Old Lyme, Connecticut, where Callaway was, and they would install a completely different top end of your engines, power, turbocharge it, make it super cool, make it much faster, make it much more capable. And it was all, that option was offered from 87 through 1991. And here's your bonus point. That option in 1987 cost $19,995 for the option. The car cost, base coupe, was $27,995. And just so you know, the same option in 1991 cost a cool $33,000 flat above and beyond the cost of the car. So now you know. I hope you got it right. I'll see you soon.